Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Meredith E. Phillips, and today we're talking about goals and plans and deadlines for draft 3. We're also going to kind of review draft 2 and we're just going to chat. We're just going to chat a little bit. If you were here last week, you know I finished draft 2. I'm very excited. I'm excited for two reasons. Number one, I have finished a draft 2 before, like, technically, but I will say when I finished that draft 2 for a previous project, I didn't feel like great about it. It was like, okay, I'm finally done. Oh my gosh, and it still is terrible. It was like that kind of thing. Whereas with this project, I finished draft 2 and I'm like, this is good. It's not perfect. We still need to do some work, but I feel really solid and really confident about the state that it is currently in. If you've been here since the beginning of the year, you know that my overall yearly plan, my yearly goal, is to have a completed, polished manuscript in hand by the end of the year so that I can start querying in like mid-January, February next year. Okay, that is still the goal. I feel confident that at this point, that is a realistic goal to have. At the beginning of the year, I didn't think that that was realistic, but things have been going well in terms of revisions, and so far so good. My goal for draft 2 was to have that finished by the end of April. When I'm filming this, April was today, the 22nd, so we've done that. I finished it last week, so goal accomplished there. And now we're moving on to draft 3. I am shooketh. I've already started on sort of planning, not outlining, but like bullet point list of stuff I know I need to change or build up better. So let me walk you through just sort of my general plan for draft 3, timetables, all that kind of stuff. If you can hear Jade in the background, she is in her bed and she is supposed to be asleep, but she is whining for no discernible reason. It's fine. So this past week, I've taken time to read through the entire manuscript again and take general notes on things that I want to enhance, improve when it comes to sort of 4 different categories. The major category is going to be plot, not changes, but like enhancements. There's certain threads that need to be woven a little more delicately throughout the manuscript. There are other threads that like I just stop talking about them in, you know, chapter 10 or something, and like I don't really finish it out. So there's sort of, I'm calling those major plot threads, but it's not like I'm rewriting entire scenes. It's not like this is involving, you know, a brand new subplot or something crazy like that. No. Most of the plot is there and it's fine. We just need to sort of sprinkle some more things in throughout chapters to make everything sort of, you know, come together in the end. The second thing that needs to be fixed up is just minor plot issues. There's some things where it's like, I don't need to weave some major thing all the way through like 7 different chapters. I need to literally mention one thing one time in chapter 10 or something like that, you know? I still need to do it, but it needs to be like one line or one paragraph or a very small addition in relation to some sort of plot issue. The third thing that needs to be fixed are 2 very specific research issues. This is, again, not like changing plot or anything like that. One is more a logistical issue, and the other one is improving the descriptions of the houses and buildings that they are in and out of. So maybe half of the story takes place in London and half of the story takes place at a country estate. I don't know how to describe those things. So I actually signed up for a class on English architecture. Why am I like this? Let me show you, hold on. So the class was online and it was excellent. I haven't read through all of this yet, but each lesson she had like a PDF with like the lesson that you read through, and then she had a PDF with like a bajillion pictures of examples of all the stuff she talked about. And for me, okay, maybe this is old school, I cannot read through that kind of really dense information on a computer. I need to be able to have it in a paper format with a highlighter so I can go through and like mark stuff. I know you can mark stuff on a PDF or whatever. I don't like doing it that way. It doesn't work for my brain. I need it printed. So once the class was concluded and I had all the PDFs, I compiled them and sent it to our local Office Depot or whatever to print, because I knew if I printed it at home, it would be like $10,000 worth of ink. I printed it. It's like 300 pages. It's like a whole ream of paper. But anyway, so it's really good stuff. I'm really excited to look through it, but I need to go through this. Look, I even bought little index tabs. It was fun. It was fun to put together, but I need to actually like read through it and figure out what of this information I can include in the story without it being like, you know, obviously shoehorned in that I did research and I want you to know about it, you know. Like I just need a little bit to put in the descriptions of the houses and the buildings and stuff so that it's realistic. Is any reader reading this book going to be like, that's a Palladian mansion, not a Georgian mansion? Like, probably not. But I will know that it's wrong, and that will annoy me until the end of time. So we're going to do that. That's one of the research things that needs to happen. The other research thing that needs to happen is I need to figure out the servant situation. So we're going back and forth a couple times from London to Carlisle, which is literally like 2 seconds from the Scottish border. It's like super far. It's like as far north in England as you can possibly get before you get to Scotland. And I was like, wait, do they have just servants hanging out at these houses until somebody shows up? I don't know. So like I need to research, so like what was the servant situation? Did they have 2 butlers at each place? Does the butler go with them? I don't know. So I got to research it so that all works out. The final category is just a couple other random thoughts I had while I was rereading the entire thing again. One thought was, do any of the chapters really need to be told from the other character's point of view? I have 2 POV characters. I think for the most part it's pretty solid, but I do want to evaluate and make sure, is this correct here? Hopefully it is. There wasn't a chapter that stood out like, why are we telling it from his point of view instead of hers, you know? But you just want to evaluate that. Because if I need to change it, then I need to do that pretty soon. The other thing that I need to figure out is chapter 1. You know the cliche about how writers rewrite chapter 1 more than any other chapter? Well, I haven't rewritten it like extensively. I've added some stuff to it in the second draft. The main concern I have with chapter 1 is whether or not it is hooky enough. You know that when you send off a query, typically you're going to send the first 10 pages of your story along with it as sample pages. That can of course differ from agent to agent, but I think 10 pages is like relatively standard for most people. So anyway, the 10 pages had better be good, right? Because if they read it and they're like, man, I don't really care about any of this, then they're not gonna contact you for anything further. So those first 10 pages need to be engaging, they need to be hooky. And I'm not entirely sure that the first 10 pages of my book are hooky enough. I don't think it's bad. Like there's a few little things in there that would be I don't know. By the end of chapter 1, you get like the big twist that thrusts us into the rest of the story, but that's at the end of the chapter, and a lot of times they're like first page needs to be this huge thing. So anyway, I'm going back and forth because there are things in the first chapter as it currently is that I do really like. It sets up a lot of the different characters really well. You see the relationship between a lot of characters. You get little hints at backstory and kind of stuff like that without it being like an info dump kind of situation, you know? So there are elements about it that I do really like. I'm just, I don't know. I'm nervous about it. The second part of draft 3, which I haven't even told you about yet. Gosh, I should have outlined this video, I'm sorry. I have my own notes from rereading it and knowing, oh, I need to sprinkle in this, or I need to add this thread, blah, 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 whatever. I know all that stuff from my own intelligent brain, but I also have all of the critique partner feedback that has been given to me over the past like 2 months now. One person has finished it. which is really exciting. One person is like a little over halfway through. I also need to go back and incorporate their feedback. Their feedback is a little more on like a chapter by chapter basis because I've just been sending them one chapter at a time. So generally they're not like, hey, you didn't mention this thing from like 5 chapters ago, or I don't know. It's a little, it's not line by line edits or anything like that, but it's a little more chapter specific. Still really good, and I want to incorporate a lot of what they've suggested. So that also is something I want to do for like draft 3.5. I don't feel like that's a whole new draft somehow. So that's the plan for draft 3. When do I want to have this finished by? If you've been here for any length of time, I think the refrain that is oft repeated is, I don't know how long this is gonna take me. How many times have I said that on this channel? I have no idea how long it's gonna take me because I've never done this kind of thing before. I don't think it'll take me as long as draft 2 took me, because draft 2 I was adding in like new scenes, completely rewriting scenes, adding in a B plot thread kind of stuff. Like I was doing a lot of new writing. I mean, if you were here for the last vlog, what did we go from? We went from like 63,000 words in draft 1 to 86,000 words in draft 2. So like I added a significant amount to it. Where was I going with that? Totally lost my train of thought. Dang it. Where was I talking about? Wow, getting really old. I'm literally gonna stop this to rewatch what I was talking about. I'll be right back. Got it. Okay, I was talking about timing. So draft 2 took me about 3.5 months to complete, and that involved a lot of rewrites, additions, all that kind of stuff. I do have quite a bit that I want to sprinkle in there with draft 3, but it is not going to be, you know, an additional 20,000 words or something like that. The audacious goal I'm setting for myself is to have draft 3 finished by the end of June. Now you might be thinking, well, that's like 2 solid months. Like you should be able to do that. Well, May is gonna be a little busy. It's gonna be May. And that's like my favorite meme of all time. Okay, anyway. The first week in May, my brother's gonna be here visiting, which is super exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing him and hanging out and doing stuff, but I'm not gonna be like, hey, see, I gotta go right, you know. So I'm gonna be spending time with him. So I'm not gonna get much done, if anything, that first week of May. I'm gonna go to work for 4 days after he leaves, and then it's Zelda time, okay? And I'm going to be just staring at a screen. Oh, it's gonna be so good. For like 16 hours a day for like 10 days. It's gonna be delicious. I'm absolutely not doing any writing at that point. So that's like the first 3 weeks of May. And I had planned originally, you know, I'd wanted to finish draft 2 by the end of April, and then I knew that stuff was coming up. So I was like, oh, that'll be like a perfect break, and then I can start draft 3. Well, you know what? We finished draft 2 a little early, so we've already got some plans in place, but that break is gonna still be there, and I'm still obviously going to take a break. So finishing draft 3 by the end of June really just means I have this next coming week, which for you was last week, because you're seeing this on the 28th, right? So this past week I had available to work on, and then I'm basically gonna have like not much time. Maybe in that second week where I'm like kind of back to work for 4 days, I'll have a little time in there where I can kind of poke at it, and then I really just have like the last week and a half of May to mess with stuff. So I don't have 2 full months is what I'm trying to say here. That gives me like a month and a half ish. Sort of. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be like way too much time, way too little time, just enough time. I don't know. But end of June seems like a good kind of like, okay, yes, like let's make that the goal. So June 30th, we're gonna be done with draft 3. June 30th, we're gonna be done with draft 3. And if we need to reevaluate, we will. But that seems achievable based on the stuff I know I want to fix up. As I was thinking through what I wanted to chat about for this video, I also realized I don't know if I ever really said what my goals were for draft 2 or my like how I approached that revision process. If I did, I don't really remember talking about it extensively. So I did want to share a little bit now that I'm kind of on, you know, the finished end of draft 2, share a little bit of how I went through it and why I think draft 2 for this project was much more successful than draft 2 for any project prior. The big thing that I've taken away from this, I think, is that my revision process starts in the outlining phase. Sorry to all the pantsers out there. I know that's not super helpful, but for me, that is absolutely true. My revision process started in the outlining phase. If you were here last year, you know I spent from the beginning of August all the way through the end of October, 3 solid months, outlining this project so that I could write it for NaNoWriMo last year. It was so much easier to delete a scene, rethink a scene, rearrange scenes when it's in like little, you know, scene card kind of order. Once you have a finished first draft, you've got completely drafted scenes to move around or alter, and it's that for me is so difficult / have never done it successfully. I got this story as clean as I possibly could in the outlining phase, which resulted in the cleanest first draft I've ever written. Was not perfect. There were definitely things missing. There were definitely things that were confusing. There were definitely things that like didn't quite work out right. And that's what draft 2 was trying to fix. But forcing myself to work through that outline really carefully, asking a lot of questions, trying to resolve plot holes, character motivation issues, like all that kind of stuff in that stage of the process, I think it's been the complete game changer for this project. So in draft 2, what I was really trying to fix up were any little bits of things that had gotten thrown by the wayside, fixing up character arcs and things like that, fleshing out plot points. There were a few scenes that did need to be rewritten because I did think of a better B plot kind of thing, subplot to go in the story. And so you guys remember the middle portion with that mystery element, like I took that whole part out and redid that. But because that was the subplot, you know, it impacted the main plot a little bit, but not significantly enough where it was like, now the whole story's changed. It wasn't like that. So anyway, draft 2 was fixing up major plot issues, character issues, that kind of thing. Draft 3 is going to be fixing up any loose threads, plot issues, that kind of stuff, a little bit of researchy things, and that's pretty much it. Now, after draft 3, I do have plans after draft 3. Will hopefully be in July by the time we're ready to start draft 4. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. July, hopefully, we'll be ready to start draft 4. You might be like, Meredith, what in the heck else do you think you're going to do for a draft 4 if all the plot and character stuff is fixed up? Well, my friends, how many times have I reread this entire book? It has been a lot. It has been a lot. And every time I reread either like the whole thing from start to finish or like one chapter or one section, there are those eye twitch moments where I'm like, the prose here is not good. I hate it, but it's not bad. I feel like the whole thing as a whole, the manuscript is like pretty well written, but there are so many times where I'm using the same word, the same phrasing. There are so many times where I'm like, this is written kind of just clunky. It just sounds amateur clunky. And I'm like, I know I can make it sound so much more polished than it is right now. And it is killing me every time I reread it. Oh, it's killing me to not be like, and change all the little words and the syntax and the diction and all that kind of stuff. But like, you can't do that yet. You gotta fix up the plot stuff first. But I cannot wait until I'm at the stage where I can go in there and just rip it apart on like a prose level. I'm like breaking out in hives. I want to fix it that way so bad, but it's not time yet. I gotta finish the story elements first, and then we can go in and fiddle with the wording. Okay. So hopefully by July, I will be at that stage where I'm like ready to actually work on the words. Also need to fit in beta readers at some point. I don't know where they'll fit in. Maybe I can do that at the same time, because like, I don't know. Let's not get into beta readers yet. We'll get to them eventually. That is the plan. That's the plan for the next couple months. That's the plan after the next couple months. That was the plan in the months prior. We talked about all the plans. I'm really excited to get started on draft 3, which is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to start taking those notes and start fixing stuff up even better. Hopefully better. We'll see. Real quick before I sign off, probably not going to have another video from me until like late May. Ugh. I'm sorry, but I have my brother's going to be in town and then Zelda. Like, I'm not making you guys a video while I'm watching Zelda, okay? I'm sorry. Playing Zelda, whatever. Maybe I'll do a video, I don't know, like the 12th. If you get a video between now and the end of May, it'll be on the 12th, which is the day Zelda comes out. But I will have already filmed and edited the video, so it'll go live that day. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll try to do some kind of check-in video just to let you know how things are going. But with all those breaks, I'm not really going to be working on the writing all that often. And so there's really nothing to do a video about. All right. Look for a video, I guess, maybe on like the 26th. We'll see. Late May. I hope work on your projects have been successful in the last couple weeks, the last couple months. I hope you're feeling good about it. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're having fun with it. At the end of the day, if you're not having a good time, I'll let you come to your own conclusion. But if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, you can click the subscribe button. I post videos on Fridays, except for the next couple Fridays, as previously stated. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.